You want to lock down a premium yacht slip in Miami, but need to do it without pulling capital from your existing investment portfolio. This scorecard highlights your first physical constraint, vessel capacity. Bayshore Landing on the left can accommodate vessels up to 130 feet, while KDM Marina on the right caps out at 100 feet. For high net worth buyers, the complication isn't a lack of capital. The issue is that a significant portion of that wealth is intentionally locked in physical alternative assets, graded numismatic collections, bullion, and goldbacks. The traditional approach is simple but punishing. Liquidating physical assets to pay cash for a lease instantly triggers massive capital gains taxes. On top of the tax hit, selling physical precious metals back into fiat incurs severe buy-sell spread losses. A percentage of your wealth is destroyed the second the transaction clears. The math forces a specific question. Can you secure a premium luxury lease using physical holdings without triggering a massive, wealth-destroying liquidation event? The alternative to an outright sale is executing a sound money special closing. This strategy collateralizes your assets instead of liquidating them. Rather than selling coins or bars, you run the physical collections through specialized legal trusts. The goal is generating a bankable standby letter of credit to hand to the marina. The primary advantage here is the zero buy spread. By leveraging your holdings at their account pricing value, you bypass the retail spread entirely. To be clear, we are not talking about crypto hype or tokenization theories. We are running a ruthless audit of the actual legal and operational costs required to make this work in the real world. This process is a direct trade-off. You are preserving your liquidity and avoiding taxes, but in exchange, you are taking on extreme, multi-layered transactional complexity. The physical size of your vessel dictates the exact financial burden of your lease, and by extension, the complexity of your collateral requirements. If you own a 115-foot yacht, you are sized out of KDM Marina. You are forced into Bayshore Landing, increasing the required lease bond. This flowchart maps the life cycle of using alternative assets. It moves from the physical asset through assaying, tokenization readiness, UPMA deposit, and lease execution. Every checkpoint requires upfront capital. We call these friction costs, accumulating rapidly in notary fees, legal review, and storage logistics. Because of your vessel size, you are forced into high-tier collateralization pathways, accumulating thousands in friction costs before the boat even touches the water. The first major operational hurdle is establishing your project's borrowing base. This means proving the exact value of your numismatic collection to a lender. Take a look at this 1896 Morgan silver dollar. To use physical assets like this as collateral, they must undergo rigorous visual and commercial authentication. The grading risk is severe. Proving a coin is a mint state 65 instead of an about uncirculated 58 drastically alters its bankable value, directly impacting how much lease bond you can secure. Before the assets can even be considered, they must pass strict comply chain guard chain of custody audits, proving exactly who holds them and tracking every movement. These audits are not free. You will pay a 20 goldback fee per assay certificate and a minimum 25 goldback fee just for a tokenization readiness review. You pay thousands of dollars in non-refundable auditing fees long before you know if the marina will even accept the collateral. Once the assets are audited, you enter the legal structuring phase, utilizing the DSK law and UPMA framework to route your approved collateral. Under this protocol, you must establish a 1% deposit in a designated UPMA account to act as a special closing scheduling reserve. You must read the fine print here. This deposit is explicitly categorized as a scheduling reserve. It is not guaranteed earnest money, and it does not secure the slip. The entire structure hinges on one piece of paper. Bayshore management must explicitly sign a legal consent accepting this alternative settlement method. If the marina management refuses to sign that consent, the deal dies instantly. The legal fees, the proxy compensation, and assay costs are permanently lost. To bypass retail friction and unwilling marina managers, high net worth buyers use the institutional whale route, initiating a JFE Sound Money CD program. This generates a non-recourse, multi-million-dollar standby letter of credit. It is a formalized banking instrument capable of locking down a multi-year lease without question. Look at this stack of 16-ounce gold bullion bars. This represents the sheer scale of raw assets required to back these high-tier financing programs. The compliance hurdles are absolute. To even participate, you must pass strict accredited investor verification, proving your net worth and income history. The institutional route demands patience and heavy capital. The closing window takes 3 to 10 months and requires a staggering $100,000 upfront retainer. This path completely shields your core asset portfolio from capital gains taxes, but it acts as a massive institutional gatekeeper, requiring deep liquidity just to apply. This quadrant chart maps trade-offs: transactional friction on the horizontal axis against liquidity preservation on the vertical. A traditional fiat lease sits in the bottom left. It's low effort, but highly destructive to wealth due to taxes and spread losses. A short-term sound money lease for KDM sits in the top left. You exert high effort, gaining little financial impact. The institutional Bayshore 10-year SBLC sits in the top right. It requires massive capital, but delivers maximum wealth preservation. The rule of thumb is mathematical. The smaller the vessel and the shorter the lease, the less viable alternative collateral becomes. If you only need a seasonal monthly slip at KDM Marina for an 80-foot boat, pay fiat. Do not attempt to collateralize. The notary fees, the proxy compensation, and the assay costs create a crushing administrative overhead. That overhead will vastly outweigh whatever you lose to the fiat liquidation spread. The approval scenario looks very different if you are a family office or a fiduciary. Locking down a 130-foot, multi-year lease at Bayshore Landing, the institutional route is built for you. You secure a multi-million-dollar lifestyle asset up front. Meanwhile, the underlying numismatic and bullion portfolio continues to yield returns in a trust, entirely untouched by capital gains taxes. Sound money collateralization is a highly effective wealth preservation tool, but it must be wielded as a complex institutional weapon, not a retail convenience.